Hi guys, so today we are not running. We'll be running tomorrow. I didn't realize it was gonna rain today. Got Owen just dropped off Liam, so he's gone. So we got a bunch of things to do. Go to the bank, go restrap the load. So we'll see what we get into today. Hopefully get enough stuff that we can actually do a full video on it. At some point we need to start. I need to get the white truck out of where it's at by the 21st, and I need to go get my truck inspected. I may do the truck on Saturday, I don't know yet. But let's see what we get into today. I hope you guys enjoy, and let's just let today do whatever it wants. Well, fast forward, it's I think a little after 5 now. I don't even care, but it's a little after 5. Got lazy today. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna get these all strapped down, and I had a serious topic that I was asked, and I've been asked by multiple people now, so I think it's time to oblige since nothing much is going on today. You guys have asked me about the Kingpin, the 5th wheel setup, why I run, I don't know why that's being stupid. Why I run a 5th wheel as opposed to a gooseneck, what is the advantages? I'm gonna go over that in this video. I'm also going to detune the truck a little bit because it is on the smokier side, so it is a 12 valve. And what I'm gonna end up doing is adjusting the pre-boost and adjusting the star wheel because there's too much star wheel and there's too much pre-boost. This thing smokes a lot in the pre, cleans up, and then as boost kicks on past like 20 pounds, it starts to like blow smoke it's at like 20 to 32 pounds of boost, it will spit a lot of smoke. So we'll take care of that today as well. But in the meantime, let's get these guys strapped down and I'll go from there, and we'll start going over the topic of those guys. Got everything all strapped down, nice and pretty. Now we're good for tomorrow. We got our gap in between each vehicle, so we know they're not gonna hit. We know there's a catalytic converter on the Prius, and I should probably take this cable off of here at some point. I am gonna order something to protect this, and I realized that because the length only goes down to the end of the trailer, I do carry a tow rope, and that was gonna make life so much easier. So using the winch cable coupled with my recovery strap, we have plenty of length. If I come in here, you guys can see I have a rope right there. And I got these as well. Alex gave me these forever ago, and I'm debating on whether I should throw them in or not, the Timbrins. I was gonna do them initially for you guys, but then the transmission failed and I said, screw it. I have all the brackets and whatnot I think they fit this truck as well. I just need to get bolts and hardware. But I also need to cut, you guys mentioned about cutting the hooks off the bridle, which I didn't want to ruin the bridle, but it does make sense. I don't ever do in-op trucks. I'm just gonna cut the hooks off the bridle and call it a day. For anyone not understanding what this is, being a bridle, these are generally used for solid axle trucks and bigger trucks, like when you pull a car up or something. Pretend this is a truck and it'll have like a circular axle and you'll hook it around that. I don't ever do in-op trucks, but these are universal. We see these hooks here. This is what's standard on a general tow truck. I'm gonna try to see if I can give you an example on my truck, because this is the only place I can really, you guys can see the frame right here. So they put holes in the frame in certain spots for those hooks. I think one right here is one. I don't know why they put it in that location, but you guys get the point. They put holes in the frames of these vehicles. Let me see, generally on the front. So if I come down here, and somewhere along this frame rail here, you'll see, or it's under the frame sometimes, they'll put the holes, like access holes that you can put those things in. Can't find any good examples right now, but if I was towing, that's basically how they do recoveries. And winch up in-op cars that don't run, is they use this guy here. Occasionally you use this guy here, but this comes on like that. So what I'm gonna do is end up just cutting this hook off, because when you get a bridle, you want one or the other, not both, because these can catch on things while they're loose. They should never sell bridles that have a bunch of different ones. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a gooseneck hitch with me to explain this to you guys, so we'll just use the ball hitch as an example. But why I like the 5th wheel, the Kingpin, over a standard gooseneck ball like normal people are running. So it all boils down to, the main thing I can say about it is a lot easier to hook up and disconnect. Hotshot Benny said the same exact thing. Now, that's not the only reason the fifth wheel I feel is superior. Now, these are just my opinions. Everybody's got a different one. I am gonna tell people to leave comments down below on why you like a gooseneck or why you like a fifth wheel, because there's gonna be a million different opinions and people are gonna get pissed off because everybody thinks they're right. So I'm just gonna blatantly put it out here. These are just opinions. So looking at a standard fifth wheel, you can see that it's got 4 points attached to the frame. They're right over the frame rails. So there's a lot more support here. With a gooseneck hitch, generally it's a steel plate down the side and then it connects to the frame. So all the weight is in the center. That is your only pivoting point with a gooseneck. You can see this is what is gonna haul, in my case, 17,000 pound trailer. This ball is the only thing keeping that truck and trailer connected. When you're going out on the highway, especially with wedge trailers, that's what it's sitting on. So you have a huge leverage point. Whereas a fifth wheel, you can see how short that bar is. With a gooseneck ball, look how high that is. You're gonna add about another foot and a half onto this. So this would be down here, which, in my opinion, it makes it a lot less stable and it can freely move wherever. Also, when you're hauling a trailer that weighs 17,000 pounds, yes, I get it that these do work 99% of the time, but a lot of times guys don't grease these. So when you are a normal guy who just tows every now and again and you have a gooseneck hitch, you know, it'll last you a lifetime. If you're a guy who's hauling like we do with a gooseneck hitch, you know, sometimes the balls snap, they get rusty, they don't get greased properly. It's very hard to keep up with the grease on them just because of the fact that you're towing constantly. And all in all, they fail. And when they fail, they don't do it generally like how a fifth wheel fails. When a gooseneck ball fails, you know, they snap. And what happens when they snap, there's a reason you have safety chains. When they snap, they let loose, and it lets loose anywhere. It lets loose on the highway. Places it's gonna snap the most is when you're taking a corner, when you're on the highway at highway speeds and you try to slam your brakes hard, or you try to accelerate hard. Those are gonna be the 3 times. Highway, turning hard, accelerating hard, and decelling hard. Okay, 4 times, whatever. But you get the point. So when they snap, it sucks. And that's why you have safety chains. With a fifth wheel, these generally, I'm gonna say most of the time, the majority of the time, these don't fail on the highway. If they're gonna fail, they're going to fail at the hookup. You back under a trailer, you go to accelerate, you know, about 3-4 feet up the road, you know, whatever, you know, a short distance. Before you leave the parking lot, it's gonna fail and uncouple. It's not generally gonna happen on the highway. I don't think I've seen fifth wheels fail on the highway. Let me know, guys, if you have any examples of this. But these are a much safer option, in my opinion. Yes, you do have to maintenance them a little bit more. You can see there's a grease point there. So it slides back and forth. This head moves back and forth like that. You can get them that are stationary and they only move front to back, okay? They also have a spot back here. Yellow means it's ready to hook. Red means that it's unhooked, and green means you're good to go. So it is in couple mode right now. I'm able to back a trailer underneath of it and it'll latch itself. Super simple. The grease points, there's really only 3 of them there. You got the head and here, and the jaw as well. So you have to grease the jaws. You do not grease the fifth wheel plate itself when you use a cover like this. So, because that's plastic, whatever you want to call it. It's made specifically, it's called a lube plate. So it's made specifically for that. Now, the problem I had with a gooseneck hitch with rails, which I get, this is rails, so it can be completely different. You can get fifth wheels without rails, with the puck system, this and that. With rails, generally it uses those middle 2 holes right there, and all of the weight is in the middle of the bed, not supported by the frame, because the frame, like right there's where the frame's at, and then here's where the frame's at. So the fifth wheel uses the outer holes. So it's on the frame. In the middle, it is front to back. So when I would hit the brakes hard, it would physically bend the rails down in. So I had to get that fixed. I got completely new rails and everything to fix that issue. And then of course you're gonna get the idiot. I don't know why. There is people that don't understand how these work. There's people that actually are saying these go front to back. You can't That's not possible. That means the fifth wheel plate would sit sideways, because the holes here, you can see how they're rectangle like that. If you put these front to back, one, they wouldn't work because they don't make brackets to make that happen. But two, it's a rectangle in those. So if you were to do that, you couldn't put this fifth wheel like this. You'd have to put it sideways. So now the fifth wheel is pointing to the side. So many people were saying that because the gooseneck plate was sitting like this, they think that the plate goes like this, and it doesn't. That's literally the design of them. That's just how it works. It's a bad design. Honestly, they do make another Spider hitch. I think Kurt makes it. It uses the center holes there rather than these holes. So it'll use the second outer hole, so it's a lot better, but it's still not ultimately perfect. Like, these are right over the frame rails and supported by the frame. So that's why I like the fifth wheel over the standard gooseneck. You got to figure, you know, a standard gooseneck ball, a 2 5/16 like this one, is rated at 25,000 pounds, and a standard 3-inch ball is rated at about 30,000 pounds. I know they can go higher. I don't know all the specifics, but I personally don't like the gooseneck. Not only that, unless you have electric jacks, you know, you're going to sit here and spin this thing the whole way down. Whereas with a fifth wheel, if you have air suspension, you have it up, you pull the pin, slam it down, and now it's on the ground, and then you just unload the air, and then you just pull out. You never have to use the landing gear. You never have to use this crank. Never do. I could do now obviously it's different when it's loaded and unloaded, but if you have an unloaded trailer, you're never using that landing gear. That is the nice thing about it. So this truck actually used to dump even lower with the old suspension. Now I do find myself having to put it down about an inch, which isn't a big deal. You know, it's not bad. It gives me a little bit of exercise, but you get the point. So that's why I like the fifth wheel. It's also a lot more stable, especially with a wedge trailer. It is 100% more stable. With a wedge trailer and you got a car like up here over top of the deck, that is your pivoting point. There's a ball in the center. That's your pivoting point. So the trailer is just bobbing and weaving back and forth. And not only that, but the arm is like super long, like it's all the way up to here. So it just doesn't make sense. It's a big pry bar basically. So while we're here, I am gonna go over and adjust the pre-boost, and you guys can see the little star wheel there on the 12 valve. I am going to adjust the star wheel and get rid of some of the pre-boost. It'll make my life so much easier. This engine is probably gonna be temporary. The reason I'm not fixing the oil leaks, or I haven't fixed the oil leaks, was because it's kind of a piece of shit. It needs a lot of work. It needs to get rid of the oil leaks and gone over, but it still runs every day. You can see the filter is starting to suck itself in from all of the oil that is shooting into it, and it's dirty kind of on both sides. So I need to get another filter. Again, I don't know how I want to do that, because since I put that over there, like, I need to figure out like a shield for that to kind of keep the oil from going into it, because you can see it's very clearly like sucking itself in. Unless something hit that, I really don't, I don't know what's going on with it, but a lot of oil. So I do want to get this engine replaced here at some point. The engine is perfectly fine. It definitely runs and drives and, you know, does everything great. It runs great. It's blowing a lot of oil. So I may go and buy another motor, re-gasket that and everything, swap the motor, put this one back in, knowing everything that I did wrong the first time, put it in, get everything done correctly while it's off of the truck, then we're all well and good. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking. Definitely going to be a couple of months. So once rates start recovering and whatnot, and I start needing more well, I'll probably wait until after we get a little bit of a peak season, because we should have good rates coming up here. They generally go back up, and fuel prices generally go back up after March. So probably do this here in 3 to 6 months. We'll probably end up throwing another motor in this thing and going over it. Like, I want that motor perfect. Also need to delete the factory fuel filter, because we have 2 fuel filters down below. And at some point I would like to add an electric pump, just as like a fail-safe, as a backup, on top of the factory pump that's down there. So we'll do that. I need to cut those things off and get that. I'm gonna go figure out this exhaust tip back here. So paint's gonna come once weather starts getting warm again. It was 70 today. So once I get some time to drop the truck off, I'm gonna have them, probably one weekend we'll do all the body work, and then one weekend we will paint it. Also, do you guys want me to try the timber rims, or should I just leave the airbags? What do you think is better? Because I will take a vote on that And I prefer the airbags at this point, but simplicity wise, do these things. Let's take, I may actually have to cut the timbrins down. I may have to cut a lot off of this for them to fit. Let me know what you guys think. Well guys, I finally did it. I prioritized pushing the tip back over taking the fuel down, which I am gonna do. I'm gonna do it here in a minute. But I cut off, you can see, a shitload. And I think that looks a lot better, a lot cleaner. It's only a matter of time until I blow out a tire and ruin the entire thing in general, but I think I'm gonna leave it there, even when I do the stack. A lot of guys did say to do the axle dump, but I really do like the out the back sound instead of an axle dump. So this is where I'm gonna leave it. And then I just need to bend those tabs back, and I got a bolt for it. So that should do pretty nicely. I like that placement a lot better. I like it flush under, you know, pretty close to flush. I could push it back a little bit more, which I might try to do, but we'll see. Ultimately, I like that fitment. Well, with the help of an angle grinder, I was able to cut off just a little bit so that the new nut would fit. You guys can see there, we got it. I did have to cut a slot in the top to get it to go, but we are fully sealed all the way around. Not that that matters, but it is sealed. Did have to cut a little bit up there so that I was able to pull it out. Smack a screwdriver in there to bend it and whatnot to get it off. But so that's been bugging me since I did the Mega Cab flares. Forever now. I just never wanted to cut this off because this is literally a perfect end. So that kind of sucks that I had to do that. And this tip will never be like this. Literally sat out like the perfect tip. I always liked the look of just that, but for what it is, I do like the look of the tip as well. So there you go. Now while I have the angle grinder out, I can cut these off. Then we'll go work on the modifying the fueling on the truck. Will probably take me all but like 5 minutes. So it's just an Allen head and actually 2 different Allen heads and a flathead screwdriver to modify it. There's one, found out to be the best way to cut it was just like that. So same on the other side, because generally when you're using these, you're gonna use 2. So you're gonna put one in one side of the frame and one in the other. So I wonder if these cars have them where you can see like there's a tow hook there. You don't want to use that. There is generally like a hole right there. And then on the other side, there would be one as well. So you'd even it up. But then you use these with a tow strap and everything. So all I'm doing is just cutting a straight line right there. All right, that helps organization tremendously. I got my lockout kit right here. And then, or my lockout bar right here, so that obviously I leave it outside the truck in case I ever lock myself out. But I got the 2 hooks and then 2 hooks up here, so that can sit there. That's perfect. And we start, I'm throwing these in the scrap pile because I'm not gonna eat them. That I'm gonna keep in the shed. And then this is all scrap right here, so. I don't know, there's the nut. Yeah, this is a scrap as well. So for anyone that doesn't know 12 valves, basically to adjust the fueling in these trucks, there's multiple ways to do it. So there is your fuel plate that goes inside of there, which tells you how much fuel to give at any given time. There is the star wheel up here, which affects how fast of a rate the fuel comes in. Mine is too much. And then there's also a pre-boost screw, which is anything under 10 psi, which is right here, which I can actually pull this out of the truck and show you guys what it does. Basically, it's just an Allen head inside of a 10mm bolt. So basically, it's got a lock nut on it. So this is a pre-boost screw. Basically, this here is an Allen head. It goes all the way in, and then this, you'll tighten the 10mm nut down at a certain point. You can see how far in I put the pre-boost screw. I only did that because I was having issues at the beginning. The truck wasn't warming up, so it was running like shit, but I didn't know that at the time, and I thought the turbo was just being super laggy. So I put the pre-boost screw in, and that was also my boost gauge wasn't working. The gauge broke. So I thought it was hitting, wasn't spooling the turbo. So I put this in a lot, and then I adjusted the star wheel and it was working a lot better. Turns out my boost gauge line that was down in there somewhere, it's one of those lines in there. I can't see with the sun glare. So I did that and realized we got the VGT function working, and now this turbo spools extremely well. So that's what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my Allen head, and basic, all you have to do, like you can adjust this off the truck and then just put it in. power driven diesel, what they said to do in the beginning, like no pre-boost at all, which I don't think I'm gonna need any pre-boost anyway, because this turbo spools so well. I think pre-boost is anything under 10 PSI, if I'm correct. This turbo spools so well. So what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm just gonna take this the whole way out, just touch, and then back off a hair so that it's not touching at all, and then that's where I'll put the nut on this. So this thing should ultimately be like stuck the whole way out. If you don't have like an Allen head and you have just one of these bits and you don't have the head for it, it's just a 1/4 inch. So plop that on there. We'll be able to screw that in. I need my 10mm wrench, and I'm gonna let it touch, pull it back a little bit, and then put the nut down. So no pre-boost. And so very little, very, very little pre. So this has been affecting my mileage a lot too. You can see right there, let me see if I can get a little zooming in right there. So this guy right here, that one right here. Since it also controls pre-boost, it controls how much fuel you're getting in idle as well. This pre-boost, that's where it's resting. That is the minimal amount of fuel that you can get. So with it being in that far, you are getting a lot of extra fuel in idle for no reason. So it'll also lead to like hazing when you're idling and whatnot. So that's taken care of. Hopefully it runs a lot better. I also need to adjust the idle because it's idling now at 800 RPMs instead of 900 where I want it to. So I'm gonna start it up and see if we made any difference. Setup is gonna be different with tuning and whatnot. So let's see if it'll actually start now that I did that. Okay, starts and runs. Then being that this is a 12 valve, there you go. So a lot more reliable than the good old thing that they had from the factory. I know a lot of guys that do 12 valve swaps will do that. And a lot of guys that even just keep a factory 2nd or 1st gen, they do that as well. Shout out to those guys for making videos on it. All right, bad news is I'll have to go home and get the socket, which I don't want to work on this at home. So I'm probably just gonna start carrying the thing with me, but you can see it's bigger than what I have. Come on, focus right there. I don't know why it won't focus. There we go, look at that. It's bigger than what I have. So I have up to, I think 6mm, which is 1/4 inch. So I was only able to adjust the idle, which is now back up over 800, and I was able to adjust the pre-boost. So we'll see how that acts. And by the way, these steps without fender flares here, look how nice this is. I can just reach up in here. Hey, I forgot to put all that stuff back in. So, and if I have to get up in the bed, all I gotta do, right here, look how close I am, put my foot here, pull, and now we're up in. So definitely a lot better than having those stupid factory flares that are garbage that for some reason a lot of people like, and I think they are super impractical. So love the Mega Cab flares, and I wish they came as a factory option because they look so much better and they are so much more practical. And if I want to get down, I just jump. But yeah, you guys get the point. Like, look how close I am to the bed, and I can just reach in here like if I got to get my cooler and shit. Before, they would have put me right about here, so now I got to reach farther. Gives me about a foot. So you guys pretty much need to know why I like 5th wheel over Gooseneck. If you guys have any opinions about it, let me know down in the comment section, because why not? I'm sure a lot of guys will have other pieces of information as well. But I heard a lot of guys complain about these Kurt hitches. I love mine. I haven't had a single issue with it other than one of the bolts backed out on me. But I'm gonna go over this thing real quick, probably throw some grease on this and go from there. That stuff's all scrap. Little stove pipe for an exhaust. By the way, how far out do you guys run your tips? I think I was gonna push it in a little bit further. Realistically, I wanted this to be flush like right here, so I wanted to go in like another 2 inches, which would have been perfect in my opinion, but I think that does look good where it's at, and I don't think it's gonna be oddly noticeable. Also, shout out to the fact that, like, look at this. Look at that gap. Look at that. I'm just reposting this because it's gonna bother somebody. You can't have the duals touching. These tires have about 20,000 miles on them. And I've driven like 500 miles a day down in the Florida heat. Never an issue. Which I am gonna go back to, like I said, I'm running PA and local, and I don't run as hard as I used to. I'm kind of trying to focus on other income sources now, like YouTube, and working on the crypto market and investing there. Going to be investing in real estate and some other things that'll be paying some passive income, investing in trailers and shit. So I'm not going to be running as hard. So I am going to be going back with 5% tint in the front, or 3%. I think I had 3% before, so I want to do that. Get the back windows all dark again. Get the over on the top. I might do the whole windshield like 30%, but I feel like that might get me pulled over a lot. So I might just do the top, and we'll see. And then we're gonna go back with the thick boys until I can afford to say, hey, let's throw $5,000 at fuel cleavers. When these tires go out, I'm gonna go back to the old setup that I used to have, which was 315 7017, which those things stuck out super far, and it never bothered me. I never had a DOT officer. I got inspected a couple times, level 1s, with those tires sticking out, and they never gave me a hassle. So I'm gonna go back to that. Still have my original level 1 inspection sticker from Ohio. Every time I pass level 1s, they never touched it. So I hate the where he placed it. You can see it's getting a little worn down, but I hate where he placed it. That kind of sucks. But I was gonna replace this windshield, and then I'm like, I'm not gonna replace the windshield just because I don't want to get rid of that sticker, because they are a pain in the ass to get. Nobody wants to give them out. Not gonna replace the windshield, and it still passed. Look at that. I still have a little bit of a hole right there, and DOT officers have passed it and not said a word, because it is the size of a quarter. Nobody has the same exact truck. 12 valve, 2-wheel drive NV5600, 373 2-wheel drive rear end, VGT turbo from a 2012 Ram 4500. So it's a VGT turbo, VGT controller, made all that shit, and it works absolutely awesome. Just need to fix the exhaust brake because my cable snapped. And a 96 12 valve with a P pump, and the shutoff works and everything. All the gauges work on the dash, all the gauges work on the top. Everything works except for cruise control. Has AC, used to have heat. I'm going to be swapping all that stuff out from dual to single. But all in all, and then yeah, mega cab flares from that. Custom built drive shaft. I think that's about it for anybody wondering. 9,000 pound GVWR because it's 2,500, and the trailer is 17,000 GVWR. So, and the reason that I was able to do that was because this is a non-CDL setup. You guys will see up under here. Look at that. 17,000 GVWR. So, and the reason I'm not like permanently welding this to the trailer is because I'm going to be replacing this with an 18,000 GVWR one as soon as I get my CDL, which I have confirmed the CDL permit gives you 1 year from the date you got it. I had a lot of guys tell me it was 6 months because I decided to pull it out earlier and check it, and it said it expires 10/22 of 2022. So I got it 10/22 of 21. That's pretty much it. If you guys have any further questions, feel free, go down in the description, okay? Go down in the description. Go check out my affiliate links on Amazon. Go check out my email. You can send me an email, which I will be changing the email at some point. I want to let guys know that because I'm kind of shying away from logistics and trying to focus on literally everything. So we're trying to figure out a legal name for the business. Sometime this year I'm going to get my LLC. Had one before, but I don't have anything now. But I want to go get an LLC or whatever my accountant says to get. I need to get a new accountant because I need someone better at trying to figure out how to pay the least amount in taxes, where should I spend my money, this and that. My accountant now says that you shouldn't try to just buy something to avoid taxes. So at the end of the year, if I have a $10,000 tax bill, but say I want to go buy a $10,000 trailer, I should just pay the $10,000 in taxes. That doesn't make sense. And I know a lot of people that, like, the whole point of an accountant is to tell me, hey, where can I spend my money to invest in my business to avoid taxes? That's the whole point. The government gives you incentives to invest in your business to grow by giving you tax cuts for that reason. So mine says, nope, you got to pay taxes. So it's obnoxious. So also feel free to check out, I got my Instagram down below. Go follow that. You can send me a message. I always get back to every one of them. And Coinbase codes down there. And yeah, besides Coinbase Wallet, and Trust Wallet. Those are the three I use for the crypto. I got Robinhood and BNB, but hate both of them. So hope you guys enjoyed. See you in the next one. Safe travels. Later.